Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining today's stream. It's not going to be a very long stream, it's just going to be a very short one. And the goal is I just want to share with you guys something that I've been working on in the past week that has been very useful for me. And I thought I would share it with you guys because I feel like it's going to benefit a lot of people who are just beginning to start live streaming, or you've been streaming and you want to improve the quality of the audio that you send online for your viewers, or let's say you probably also want to improve the quality of your Zoom calls and stuff like that. This is going to be of help to you because you're going to be able to live stream with a better sound and audio quality. And for those of you that know me, I've been looking out for ways and means of improving my live stream audio for the longest time. And I think I found the right solution that works for me. So, my studio, or this space that I'm using for this live stream right now, it's a very small space. And so the walls are all close by. I've tried to kind of treat the room a little bit by using these acoustic foams behind me. However, no matter what, I still get um, a little bit of echo and noise from the house coming in. Hey, Mix, how you doing, bro? If you want to join, I'm going to post the link. If you're free, join me. Let's have some chat. So let me post the link. Yep. And if you're free and you want to join in, you can join in. Let's have a good conversation as we go. And let me know how my audio sounds as well. So, because that's the main piece of today's chat. I just want to test out my audio stream while I share with you guys what I have done to kind of cut down the background noise that comes out of my house and also in my small little studio here. And I'm hoping that this will be beneficial and help somebody, because getting a good sounding audio, it's 50% of your video. So if you have video going out to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is, you also want to make sure that the audio that you're sending with that video, it's also of good quality. And that's something I've been struggling to achieve because of the size of my space, and also a couple of factors. Like, I have little kids running upstairs, and my studio is right in the basement, so you can hear them sometimes as they go back and forth. But I'm just, been playing around with settings here and there, just trying to get my audio sounding as good as I can. So I've been playing around with it, and I think I finally found that solution. So we're going to talk about that today. Mix is saying my audio sounds a tad low, so let me see if I can bring that up. And that's the beauty of this new system that I'm trying to use. I've got room to play around with and adjust certain things on the go. And I'm going to share with you guys what I have done, but I'm just waiting for a few people to join in. If you're in the chats, don't be afraid to say hello. So go on, say hello. Let's chat. Let's connect. Let's connect. So it's going to be a fun night. We're not going to spend too much time today. We just want to quickly go through that. And we're going to have a few, tips, tricks that you can use to improve your live stream. I haven't really tested this audio out, but I believe it sounds good in my ears from the little testing I have done, because I've been spending the whole of yesterday looking into this audio solution. Initially, I thought maybe I would use some of my hardware effects and a old mixer that I have sitting here, and bring the sound in that way so I can process it with my compressor, my EQ, and stuff like that before it hits my computer and goes online. And I've been waiting for Amazon to deliver cables that I need forever, and they didn't. Then I said, let me find a way to do this because I have access to audio recording software. We call it a DAW. So if you don't know what a DAW is, it's basically a digital audio workstation. It's just a piece of software that is you install in your computer that allows you to record um, audio, be it your guitar, your bass drums, whatever you want to do. It allows you to bring acoustic audio into your computer and record that. But then there is also all these effects processors that you can use to improve the sound quality of the audio, be it a microphone, whatever it is. And that's what I'm going to show you guys, how you can now take that audio that you have processed in your digital audio workstation and send that audio to any application that you want to use for streaming. So whether you are streaming through Streamyard or you're just doing audio, you're just doing audio. Hey, Paul, thanks for coming in. Nice to see you. So whether you're just doing Zoom meetings or you're just doing streaming to Facebook or streaming to YouTube or you're just doing Skype calls, there is ways and means you can improve the audio quality that you send out. And like I said, I've been spending a lot of time with audio because I am a key, believer in sending out good sounding audio when you're streaming. And I've been working on it because my house, like I said, and my studio is tiny. So when I'm speaking like this, the sound is bouncing along all the walls and coming back into my microphone. And sometimes you can actually hear my kids running up and down this upstairs making noise. And so for a while, I've been limiting myself to kind of recording my videos only when the kids are sleeping or maybe late at night and stuff like that to kind of reduce the amount of noise that goes in my microphones. But I finally think I've found that solution that will allow me to record at almost every time that I want without having to worry too much about background noise. And how I'm doing it, it's what I'm going to share with you. So Paul says audio is very important. And he says, make sure to like this video, guys, and to subscribe. Very important. So if you're new here, like the video, subscribe. And Mick says you'll be able to join us in 15 minutes. Paul, if you're free as well, you want to join, you can join me. Let's have a conversation. All right, guys. So I'm going to start showing you guys how my setup is right now. And the key thing is that right now I'm not using any hardware. Everything that I'm doing, it's internal. The only hardware that I'm using or the only external thing that I'm using, it's my sound card. So very important. If you are doing any sort of recording or audio work, having a good sound card or what we call the audio interface, it's a good thing to have because the audio interface basically allows you to connect professional grade microphones and stuff like that to your computer without really having to worry about delays and all that kind of stuff. So the whole process is that we're going to try to process the audio coming in through my sound card in a software and then use that audio in a different software. But the key thing is this, you want to make sure that there is no latency or delay. So as I'm sending the audio through these pieces of software, there need to be no delay. So as I speak, my sound or the bite that is coming out needs to be able to sync up with my lips. And that's very important. So let's get started as we go through this. There's a couple of key things that you need. The first piece of software that you need, it's called VoiceMeeter Banana. So VoiceMeeter Banana, let me show you guys how to get that. All you have to do is just Google VoiceMeeter Banana. And it's going to bring you to this website. And just go ahead and download it here. You can make a donation. It's a donation where if you want to make a donation to the people, you can go ahead and make a donation, or you can just go ahead and download the EXE version if you're on Windows right here, and just install it. I believe VoiceMeeter only works for Windows. So if you're in a Mac, you may have to find another utility that can do something similar. But for Windows users, VoiceMeeter will work perfectly. And what we're doing is we just downloaded VoiceMeeter and you're going to install it. So once you install it, just use the default prompts and go ahead and install VoiceMeeter. Once you have VoiceMeeter Banana installed and you launch it, you're going to be greeted with an interface like this. So first things, we're going to set it up here. What you want to do in the setup is just bring this faders down, right? And make sure none of these is selected or highlighted up here. Let me make sure you guys can see this properly. Oh, I forgot to switch to my desktop, so I think you guys are not seeing me. Here we go. I have just switched over to my desktop. So let's start over, right? This is VoiceMeeter Banana. The issues with live stream, right? The things we come across. All right, so I'm going to go over to my browser and I'm going to drag my IE over to the Chrome over to this window so we can see what I'm doing. And if you want to install VoiceMeeter Banana, just Google VoiceMeeter Banana and go to this vbaudio.com, and you're going to see VoiceMeeter Banana listed right here. Like I said, it's donationware, so you could donate whatever amount you want to donate to them, or not donate at all. That's your choice. But you can just download it on a Windows PC. I'm using the EXE version. Don't do the package version. Go ahead and just download the EXE or the executable, and go ahead and install that. So install that. Probably saying maybe a topic for Open Shadow. Yes. I think so. We might have to discuss this again in Open Shadow at one time. For those of you who don't know, Open Shadow is just a podcast show we have every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. It's me, Paul, Brian, Meeks, and sometimes we get guests to come on where we discuss stuff, photography, videography, and all those important stuff. So if you're into that, join us on Open Shutter every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. It's either hosted on my channel, Paul's channel, or sometimes Brian's channel or Meek's channel. So between the four channels, we take turns and rotate, and we have Open Shutter every Wednesday. Very important, very educational show. Make sure you join. All right, back to VoiceMeeter Banana. So download VoiceMeeter Banana, download the installer, and install it. The installation process is very basic. I'm not going to go through that. Just click on the EXE install and follow and use all the basic default prompts. Once you are back and you have installed it, launch it, right? And you're going to be greeted with this window. Once you are in this window, there's a few key things you need to do to set this up properly. Let me just turn on my picture in picture so you guys can see me as well. Let's do this. Right, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so as I was saying, you can mix his accent if this program is sponsored by Open Shutter. I guess so, my first sponsorship on this channel by Open Shutter. All right, guys, so let's get back to business. As I was saying, this is what VoiceMeeter Banana looks like. Now, with this program, basically what you're doing is you can take your input sources and your output sources, and it allows you to basically create wires, virtual cables, if you want to, within your computer and route the audio in different forms and different ways as much as you please, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take the audio that is coming from my audio interface, which I have my microphone connected into. If you're using a USB microphone, you might be able to do that. I haven't tested it with a USB microphone yet. I might will, or I will sometime in the near future. So stay tuned for that. But right now I'm using an audio interface, and I'm using my USB plugged into my microphone plugged into the audio interface and coming into my computer that way through USB. So this is what I have done. When you come in, make sure that all of these first three sliders are all the way to the minimum. You don't need these. You may have some of these icons here checked. Just make sure you uncheck all of them. You don't really need them as well. If there's anything checked here as well, just uncheck all of these. And then the last two here is what you really need. So for the top here, make sure you select A1 and A1. And I will explain this later on as we go about. And then select also B1, B2, right? So I have A1, A1, B1, B2. And what this I'm doing is A1, A1 is going to be your outputs. B1, B2 is just going to be something for you to be able to monitor and hear yourself back, right? And so once I have that, let me set this back to default. Once I have that, the next thing you want to check and adjust is to go into the menu, go into your system settings right here, or system settings / options. And when you are in system settings / options, there is a couple of things I want you to do here. Well, but before you get here, let's do it this way so you can really understand it. So the first step, you've set up your input and your outputs here and there. Now you want to look at your A1. Your A1 is basically going to be your outputs. So click on this little icon here with the A1 at the top here, right here. And what we want to do once we are here is click the drop down, and you want to make sure that you select your audio interface. So my audio interface that I'm using is the Mode 2 M4. So I'm going to count down here, and I'm making sure that I've selected my ASIO Mode 2 M4 driver. So once you have that selected, that means that you have matched your physical audio outputs to your virtual audio output, right, in VoiceMeeter. We're now going to go into VoiceMeeter settings, go to system / options. And in your system / options, you want to make sure that you enable these icons down here. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you want to enable 7 and 8 for your inputs, and you're going to enable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for your output. So 15 and 16 are my outputs. 7 and 8 is my inputs, right? So note those down that you have enabled. You can basically select whichever one you want for your outputs and inputs and enable them. You just got to make a mental note of those because you're going to need it for the next step. I'm using 7 and 8 for my input, and I'm using 15 and 16 for my output. So once I know that this is what I have set up here, Mix says, very complicated. Lost me about 10 minutes ago. Don't mind me. I have attention span of a goldfish. Well, so this is it. It sounded a little complicated because of the way I'm explaining it. But once you have this set up, trust me, it's so convenient and so easy to use, and it allows you so much freedom with what you do with audio coming in and going out of your system. So once we get there, you will understand. But this whole process, if not that I'm explaining, will only take you about 5 minutes or less to set up, right? But I'm just taking my time to explain it so you can actually get the understanding of why we're doing it and how it's working, right? So once you selected your audio input and stuff here, enable your outputs, enable your inputs. Perfect, you're done, right? If you feel like you have delays or anything of that sort, you can change your sample rates and the buffer size of your in and out card, right? Once again, this may sound foreign to a lot of you, but if you are someone that uses audio and someone who's been doing kind of like a little bit of audio recording and stuff like that, these things are very normal and very easy. So let's try to break it down so you guys can understand. If you have any questions, this is a live chat. You can leave your questions in the comments and I'll try to answer them. So now that we have VoiceMeeter Banana set up, the next thing I want to set up is my digital audio workstation. So my digital audio workstation of choice is Ableton Live. And somebody may be asking, what is a digital audio workstation? Well, digital audio workstation, or DAW, is, like I explained at the beginning, it's just a piece of software that allows you to capture and record audio. So if you go to the studio, people who are making beats, making songs, making music, they are using something like that. So they're using either Ableton Live, Pro Tools, Cubase, you know, some sort of audio recording software, even sometimes Audition. So if you have access to Premiere, Adobe Creative Cloud, the full suite, you also have access to Premiere Pro and Audition, right? You could use Audition the same way. But if you don't have Audition and you have Ableton Live, or even there's a free digital audio workstation called Audacity, you can also download the free Audacity and use that in the same way. And Ableton Live and some of these digital audio workstation software, they come with your sound card. So if you've got a sound card, you need to check the manufacturer's website. You may have a free version of some form of an audio workstation included. So download it and try it out. So here is my digital audio workstation, and this is the settings that I have done to get this working. So as you can see, I have my microphone input as my mic 1. And the easiest way to do it, assuming I don't have this here, is you can come here and then do insert audio track. So ignore my first two. I'm going to try to bring it back in, and hopefully I don't cut out my audio. But once you come in here, you add a new audio track, and you're going to go in and set external in, right? And then the first thing, you have your external in, you have all this stuff. But the most important thing is to set up what hardware or software you are using for your audio. So go to your audio DAW's preferences, and in Ableton Live is preferences audio. And in my audio here, you're going to see the audio device, and you have driver type. So under driver type, I'm going to select ASIO, because ASIO is always the best for audio. And then you have your audio device. So audio device, I'm going to select my VoiceMeeter insert virtual ASIO. That's given to you from the VoiceMeeter, which is the first software we installed. If you launch your DAW and you get some errors about audio device not connected or stuff like that, make sure that you close everything or anything that is using your audio interface first. But once you're in here, select your device as VoiceMeeter insert virtual ASIO, right? And then go to the input configuration. And in the configuration, I'm going to enable mono for channel 1 and 2. And my outputs, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, sorry, my inputs, I'm going to do 7 and 8 and 15 and 16. Those are the two that we enabled in VoiceMeeter, right? And I'm going to do the same thing for my outputs. So my outputs, I have 1 and 2, which is corresponding to channel 1 and 2 on my sound card. And then 7 and 8 and 15 and 16 stereo outputs as well. Right. So what I have done is bring in this audio track, and as you can see, my input, I'm going to select 1 on my physical audio interface, right? And the output, I'm not going to send to the master. Instead, I'm going to send to 7 and 8, right? So you can do the output and send this to external out and select 7 and 8. So now you have your audio input coming in, you're selecting 7 and 8. But for you to hear that audio without having to record, you need to check the in. Now that I've checked in, my audio is going to be doubled because I'm sending 2 feeds. So I'm going to take this off, right? And now you can see that. And then the next thing that I have added, you don't need to, but you may want to, is this desktop audio. So the desktop audio is the same thing, because I want to have the ability to maybe sometimes record everything that I'm playing through my computer. Mix is finally something that I'm familiar with. Audacity, yes, Audacity is a very good recording software. So if you don't have access to any of the DAWs, you can also consider that. And then Paul says, I may understand OBS more. Yes, you will once we get to that point. All right. So now that we have our audio set in here, that's all that you need to get started. The desktop audio is just extras that I'm playing with because I want to be able to play and listen to all the sound coming from my audio through the same system, and also be able to bring it in so that if I want to play some music behind my live stream, I can easily play that music, bring it in, and have control over how much volume of that music that I'm playing in the background as opposed to my voice, right? So you don't want to mix them in. You want to separate them so you can have control over how much audio or music coming in as opposed to how much of the microphone voice coming in. So now that you have finished this and you have set this up, I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. I already have it up here as my mic input. The next piece is what we can do in here. So I have this set up. I'm going to leave this open for a little bit. Now I'm using Streamyard for this live stream, right? And we're going to get to that point to how I'm getting my audio, which is processed into Streamyards. But first, let's take a look at OBS, and I hope it doesn't cut out my live stream because it might want to take over my video card, my capture card. But let's open up OBS. Before we get into OBS though, let's set up our audio in and out for the computer. So now you have everything set up, and if you go to your computer and you go to your sound settings, right? If you can see here, for my sound output, I'm using VoiceMeeter input, right? So you want to use the VoiceMeeter's input as your output. So this mode 2 in and out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are the physical outputs I have on my audio interface. But I'm not using those because I'm using the VoiceMeeter input. So for some computers, I've realized that the VoiceMeeter input doesn't work. So if you're not getting any audio after selecting VoiceMeeter input, your best bet will be select VoiceMeeter aux input. So between the two of them, one of them will work for you. Once you do that, everything that you hear will be routed through your audio workstation and back into your sound card for you to hear. So you can see at the bottom also here, my audio input, I have selected VoiceMeeter aux output, right, to get my sound to go back through channel 7 and 8, which is output mapped in VoiceMeeter audio. Okay, so now that I've finished that and we know that, if you close this and we go back into our OBS, our digital audio workstation. Now I'm going to show you why I went through all this process, right? Like I said, my house, I've got a lot of echo, a lot of room noise, even my PC fan noise I can hear when my microphone is on. And that's what I've been trying to reduce. So I'm going to show you guys what I have done so far. And this is still work in progress because, like I said, I just started playing with this just yesterday when I was looking for a solution. So let's go through and I'll show you what I have done. The advantage of doing this is because in your digital workstation or your DAW, you've got access to a lot of effects, right? So if you look here in Ableton, if I go to my audio effects, these are all bunch of audio effects that I can use to process my audio before it comes out. So if I want to change the sound of my audio, I can do something crazy. So for now, let's just play around. I'm going to drag just a rough audio effect onto my sound. It doesn't matter what I drag, but let's take a look. And if I drag this here, now you can see how that has affected the sound that you are hearing online. And if I turn it off, there you go. You can see that difference that it makes. So I can come in, let me play around with these settings, and I can push and pull and try a lot of different stuff because this thing now gives me access to add on any effect that I want, right? let me try overdrive because that may sound a little bit more louder, punchier. It doesn't matter. Like you can play around and affect your audio, right? And add in some bass, right? You can play around and process your voice however that you want, right? I can add a little bit more of a vibration or what we call reverb to my voice just by sending a little bit more reverb. Let's add a little bit more reverb, right? I have access to kind of play around and process this audio however I want and send that same audio online without really having to use any sort of hardware effects or complex routing, all because I'm able to route my audio through here and into my streaming software. Mix says I'm going to sound like Morgan Freeman from now on. You could. So I'm going to show you guys what I've done to my audio. I'm going to show you basically the basic stuff that I have done so far in testing, what my room and my environment sounds like, and compared to what you're actually hearing right now. So I'm going to turn off all the processing that I have added. Okay, so under normal circumstance, this is what you're going to be hearing from me in my little studio here. Once I turn everything off. So this is what my studio and my microphone and everything that is coming in my natural voice is sounding like, right? But I have gone ahead and I have done a little bit of processing on here. So you can hear all the noise, the fan, everything really loud. And let's go through my effects rack one by one so you guys can see what I have done, right? So this is the final, and this is what you're hearing, and now this is what it actually sounds like in here, right? I'm gonna go through and we'll see. Okay, so the first thing that I have done, it's I added on an equalizer to try to reduce some of that. So let me turn on that EQ. All right, so this is just the EQ that I have added, right? The first step, add an EQ, and already the voice is beginning to sound better, right? And then I'm adding on another EQ effect. This is called Nova, and if anybody is interested in some of these plugins, because majority of the stuff I'm using here comes by default with my DAW software, Ableton Live, but these three, one, two, three, third-party plugins that I downloaded and use, and and they're all free, so I can share the links with you guys to download if you want to. But so far, this is all I have done. I have just added this one little EQ, and I have adjusted the mids, right? Taking out some of the mids, boost up my lows and my highs just to improve that sound. And then I'm going to turn on Nova, and Nova is a tiny adjustment I'm making in Nova. So if I click on this gear icon, let's see, I can bring up the Nova thing here. And this is just Nova. I've only using one of two of the frequencies, and I'm just tuning those and targeting those frequencies and adjusting them as I please, right? Just to make my sound better, right? And then the next one that I added on is this other compressor here, Cotel. And now you see how it's improving the sound further, right? And for that, it's just a little bit of compression. So you can see how the compressor is basically compressing my voice and making sure that as I speak, I'm putting out the same constant output, right? And that's what the compressor is doing. So if I turn this compressor off, right, and if I turn it back on, there's a tiny bit of difference that it's making, not too much, but it's a little bit. And then the next thing is another EQ that I have added, and you can tell the difference that that EQ is making, right? And that's it. And then the next thing I'm done is to add a little bit of a noise reduction. So this is kind of like a gate. And what this is going to do is to help with the S sound, this sound that you hear. So if I turn this on, now you can see that all of the hash ends are cut down a little bit, right? And the background noise have also been reduced a little bit, right? And then my last piece is just some cosmetics that I have done because there's some certain frequencies that I wanted to cut down because as we are talking, you can hear that occasionally there's some beeps, and also the sound of my mouse clicking is a little too loud, and I wanted to reduce those. So I put on this last EQ right here, which further reduces those sound, right? Reduces the hiss, reduces the clicks sound, and makes the sound a little bit more better. So I haven't done much so far, but with the little I have done, you can see the difference between how my room sound is like and what the output that I'm streaming to you guys right now is sounding like, right? So that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys today. Been looking for a better way of cleaning up the audio during a live session for Open Shutter, for my live streams and stuff like that, because my audio has always bothered me. And if you do, those who know me, you know I'm particular with audio because, like I said, audio is just as important as the video you're putting out. So if I've set up my video and it's looking nice out here, but my audio doesn't sound good, it's going to throw people off, right? And so that's why I try to put in much effort into my audio as I put into my video. So I may light my video a certain way, plan out my framing in a certain way. It's the same thing. You got to think about the audio and plan to put that audio out the best way that you can. And that's what this setup is allowing me to do right now. And I'm so happy with it so far. Time will tell. I'm going to have to play around with it, make some new adjustments, make some improvements. But overall, this sounds way better to me than it sounds without me processing that audio, right? And going directly through my sound card and off to Streamyard. Before I go off, I want to show you guys how I'm bringing this into Streamyard and maybe also go over to OBS. So I'm going to bring my Streamyard window back. You're going to see a doubling for a little bit, but bear with me. If I bring my Streamyard window back on my screen here, this is how I'm going through. So in Streamyard, I'm just going to my settings here. I'm going to my audio. And if you can see, for my mic, I'm selecting my VoiceMeeter aux output, right? Which is basically all of the sound that is processed through my DAW coming out, right? Because VoiceMeeter or VoiceMeeter is what is basically controlling all of that. So the output of VoiceMeeter, which is going through my channel 7 and 8, is what I'm now bringing back in here as my microphone feed. So instead of selecting my sound card's audio as I would normally would, I'm now selecting the VoiceMeeter, right, input. And for my speakers, I also have to select VoiceMeeter input. So this is very confusing. So get this right. On the input side, you want to select the output. And on the output side, you want to select the input, right? So those are the two things that you need to be mindful of. And once you have that set up, all the audio that is routed through your digital audio workstation with all the effects processed on it goes straight into your Streamyard, right? And comes out of Streamyard. And that's what you can hear now, right? So let me know how it sounds, guys, in the comments as we're going through. Let me know how your sound is coming out. Let me know if there's any tweaks you think I need to do. I feel like I hear too much bass in my voice, but let me know. All right, maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comments, guys. And I'll be tweaking these as the week goes on, trying to get the best balance between all of these stuff. Let's say you stream with OBS and you don't use StreamYard. Let's see if I can bring up OBS. I hope it doesn't crash my sound or my video feed because it's going to try to maybe take over. Oh, perfect. So now there's no audio. There's no video in OBS coming in here. That's fine because I'm using that same sound video card in StreamYard. So, but here we go. In OBS, to use this setup in OBS, there's a very basic, easy way to do it. Once you have your OBS open and you have your scene set up the way you want, let me go down here. Well, yeah, we could use that. This is just capture back of my screen. What you want to do is, you see how you have your mag and /aux. This is basically your computer's default input, right? Default input. And how you set that in OBS is go into your settings. And once you're here in your settings, go down to audio. And there's a couple of things you want to change. There's two things. So you look down here in your global audio devices. Under your global audio devices, you have mic auxiliary audio, and then you have mic auxiliary audio 2. So these two are the ones you want to change. You're going to change the first one, and you can select your VoiceMeeter output, right? And then for the second one, you can select your VoiceMeeter aux output, right? And once you have that selected, same way you're going to get sorry, I was just reading comments. There's a comment from a Facebook user, says coming out clean. Perfect. Sounds good. The whole goal is to try to clean up this audio as much as possible. So now coming back into OBS, if you want to use that audio in OBS, same thing. You're just going to go to your OBS, and once you're in OBS, here you go. You're going to have to select your auxiliary audio mic 1 and 2, and you want to go under the global audio devices section to do that. Once you do that, those two become your default audio inputs. And as you can see, as I'm speaking, the feed is coming right into OBS. So now you can add on all your other sources, and you're going to be able to push out clean processed audio through OBS as well to wherever you want to stream to, would be it Facebook, YouTube, however you're streaming. That is how you can get that clean audio out into OBS. And the same thing works for Zoom. So I'm not sure if I have Zoom set up here, but let me try to show you how we will do that in Zoom as well. So let me figure out where is Zoom. Zoom. Maybe I should have set this up. I wasn't planning to use Zoom. Let's see if we can get Zoom going. Okay, so I think I finally managed to sign into Zoom. Can't remember how to do this. Let me go here, host a meeting. Yep, lunch meeting. Open with the Zoom app. All right, so I have Zoom open here. And you're gonna get this box that says join with computer audio. Let's do that. All right, so I'm on Zoom, and same thing. I don't have video because I'm using my capture card right now for something else. But if you want to bring in your audio, just go into your settings. Go down here, go to audio settings, right? And right now you can see that my microphone is set to my Blackmagic device, right? I don't want that. So to get Zoom working, the first thing is to change your microphone, and you're going to use the VoiceMeeter out, right? And as soon as I change that, now you can see my input level coming in. And for your speaker as well, you're going to use the same thing, VoiceMeeter aux output, all right? You're going to use the input, sorry. So you're going to use the VoiceMeeter aux input, right? And you also use the output. And if you want to test, right, let's see. So VoiceMeeter aux input, let's use VoiceMeeter input, all right? Right. And I bet you guys can hear that beep. And you're hearing that beep because in my computer, in my DAW here, I set up the second feed, right? Which is to send my desktop audio back through, right? So if I test again, you can see my desktop audio is receiving that sound, right? And that's what I was talking about. So I can basically just play any music behind the stream, and it will show up on this channel, and I can balance out how much of that you hear, right, as opposed to my voice. My voice can still be loud, whilst whatever I'm playing through my computer will be very low in the background. That's the beauty of this setup. You have a lot of control to do what you want to do, right? And like I said, the same setup, the same settings you can use for a lot of different applications. For those of you who like to record voiceovers on your videos when you're doing, whether you're doing it in Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, whatever software, and you're doing voiceover over your YouTube videos, this can be a very good way of doing it because you can process that voice before even sending it over to DaVinci or Premiere Pro. The other good thing, the other benefit for me is that sometimes, let's say I want to record, but I don't want to use this onboard camera or the microphone on my camera. So I want a good sounding audio that I don't even have to process in Premiere. Now, what I can do is that because I now have this audio input here coming into my digital audio recorder. Now, don't forget that the main purpose of this software is to record audio, right? So you already have that audio recorder, and if you've done that before, sometimes it's best to record your audio separately from your video and then sync them together when you edit in Premiere. And if you want to do that, this makes it easy because you already have that audio, which is really processed and sounding good already. And all you're going to do down here is just come in here, click on record, right? Your record is enabled. And as soon as I click on any of these boxes, so there's two scenes in this place. So in most DAWs, what you're going to be seeing is this, right? So if your DAW is this format going straight up, then all you're going to do is arm your track right here and just start recording. And so as I go through, you can see that the audio is recording. And once I finished recording that audio, all you have to do is stop, right? So now I've recorded a sample audio and I have stopped. Now I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to play back for you what I just recorded. All right. Hope you guys were able to hear that. That's how it all works. So with the audio coming in here, thanks, Paul. Thanks for joining. So with the audio coming in and being bounced internally within your computer and routed everywhere else, it's giving you a lot of flexibility on how you can reroute and redirect that audio and get the best sounding audio that you can send to any of your streams or softwares, other software. You can do this in any audio recorder. You can do this in any DAW. You can send that audio to any application and use it anyhow you want. Oh, Mick says he did not hear me play back that sound. Let me take a look. Let me unarm this. Let me go back. Might be one of my playback stuff messing up, but all right, I have to look into that, but it's supposed to play back for me, so I would look into that piece. The only other way is if I try to drag it out, but yeah, not, but it's fine. It should play back for us basically, and I would have to look into it why it's not coming back out. But basically, you can do this on any software, audio recorder, and you can basically just have that time to play around with it however you want. Just start recording, and so as I go through, you can see that it will stop, and once I finished recording that audio, all you have to do is start recording. All right, so that was, let's go. I just played back what I recorded, and that's it. So you get that same sound recorded in your DAW, and when you are done, you can bring that into Premiere along with your video, sync them together, and you already have a nice sounding processed audio to go with your video, right? All right, just gonna go through the comments. If there's any chats, any comments we can go through. If not, I'm gonna call it a wrap, and thank you guys for hanging out tonight. And I hope you guys like this and you learned something. Let me know if this is something you are interested in doing, or if you see this being useful for your workflow in any way. Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I will definitely see you in the next video.